Hi guys, this is Jack, and today we're going to be talking about the 2026 Oscars. I did do a little video a couple weeks ago talking about my potential Best Picture predictions in terms of just like going past the 10th slot, just like potential movies that I think could actually break out this year. But I think right now, since Cannes is about to start next week, and some other people are starting to, put their predictions in, I gotta get into this shit right now. And on top of that, I think I have a definitive top 10 currently of movies that I think could potentially break out this year. But yeah, let's get into it. I don't want to go super, crazy with this video. I just want to lay it out there and let's see how far I can get it. Without further ado, let's get into it. So yeah, this film, I don't really have to say too much because I already talked about it on this channel, and that is Sinners by Ryan Coogler. I already talked about its potential here in terms of just Best Picture, contending potential, acting, just everything in general. I don't need to go super deep into that. You can check out my review of the movie, which is on my channel right now. Really loved it. I think it's one of the best movies of the year so far. So yeah, I don't really need to talk about it. I think it does have some good, chances of staying in the conversation for months past into the fall festival season. I think the reason why is because of the cultural relevance of the movie. And I think just also in general, just the talk around the movie, everybody's still talking about it 2 weeks past the release date of the movie. So it's just it's going to continue to bubble up and bubble until we get to the fall festival season. And I think that's going to stick. I don't see this being kind of Challengers last year, where people were talking about it all around the year, and then eventually, when the fall festival season started, it kind of started to die down. And again, that was probably because Luca had another movie out that year, Queer. But I think now this film, Sinners, is going to continue to have that word of mouth well past its release date. And it's kind of like Get Out, where it's going to be a cultural, significant film that is going to be talked about for years to come. But yeah, that's the reason why I have Sinners right now undated at number 1, or unranked at number 1. But maybe it could change, maybe it couldn't, but you never know. And next up, I have a movie from one of my favorite directors currently working today. These two guys have split up, if I'm being honest, and they've completely have done something completely different in terms of what movies they're gonna, direct. And one of the brothers is Josh Safdie, part of the Safdie brothers, and he has a new movie coming out called Marty Supreme. And apparently this movie is about a ping pong player who goes around the world doing ping pong shit. And it has Timothée Chalamet playing the lead character, Marty Supreme. Gwyneth Paltrow is coming back to the big screen in forever. She hasn't been in a movie in theaters for a long time that has been kind of awards contending. Then you have Tyler, the Creator, who's in this movie.
Me and Flex looking in the index for buff net niggas just for some hot butt sex.
And Fran Drescher, the nanny, and motherfucking Penn Jillette.
You need to shut the fuck up.
And just other crazy, character actors and just celebrities and public figures are in this movie. Now, I will say this, the Safdie brothers, their films are very distinct from each other, and I think Josh Safdie is more of the goofy, crazy brother compared to Benny, who's more surreal and kind of intense and anxiety inducing type of guy. And Benny has his own movie, The Smashing Machine, which stars The Rock, which is also premiering this year, which could actually break out also as well. But I don't see it as a Best Picture player. I see it more as a Best Actor for The Rock. But I think Marty Supreme has the better shot here. It's the better, pick if you want to pick the better Safdie movie. And just on top of that, A24 is putting their stocks on it. They're putting a lot of money into it. I think it's one of the highest budgeted films that they're gonna put forth in their studio. So you gotta put it up there, and it sounds really fun. And I've seen some of the set pics and all that, and it looks pretty cool. So never bet on like anything A24, or just like don't bet on like stuff that doesn't feel, Oscar baity. I think right now the term Oscar baity is kind of starting to like fall apart, and I kind of see more as like films that aren't like the quote unquote Oscar baity movies are gonna like break out each year. And I think Marty Supreme kind of like has that like juice kind of like boiling up. But yeah, that's like the reason why I have Marty Supreme unranked here at number 2. And then unranked at number 3, I have Sentimental Value, which is directed by Joachim Trier. So I'm a major fan of Trier's works. I've seen The Worst Person in the World, and I think it's one of like the best movies of the last decade, and it came pretty close for the Best Picture nomination. It got Best Screenplay, if I remember correctly. Renée Renziv, I'm butchering her pronunciation of her name, but she is one of those actresses, like every time she shows up in a movie, she just like fucking eats it and spits out a lot of like great like acting chops. And she plays a woman who is trying to figure out what's going on with her father, her strange father, and her father just appears out of nowhere, and her father's trying to like cast her into like a movie that is basically about their lives. And it's very like meta from like what I'm like hearing, like the plot line and just like the general vibes. And apparently word on the street is that the movie's pretty damn good, and it might be a Palme d'Or winner for Cannes. And this is like my first Palme d'Or Cannes pick this year. Usually there's one or two like Cannes movies that break out and either run all the way to the Best Picture nomination or just don't. We saw it last year with Emilia Perez, which was kind of like one of those movies that broke out controversially for, the stuff that happened in that movie. We won't touch that again. But I think Sentimental Value has a really good shot of being the big breakout, the international breakout, I should say. And just on top of that, Joachim Trier has always been like in his like mode in terms of just making great movies, and people have seen a lot of his movies over the past couple of years. And I think the Best Original Screenplay nomination for The Worst Person in the World kind of like helped him out in the long run, even if that movie kind of didn't go too far out with its nominations. But I think now people are going to like come back around with Joachim Trier and be like, yo, like he made a really great movie. Let's, put him here in the top 10. So yeah, that's why I have Sentimental Value on my list. So next up, I have Sound of Falling, which is a film that just like fell over and under my radar as I was like looking at the Cannes list a couple weeks ago when it was announced. And just on top of that, I've been hearing some, word of mouth weirdness with the film in terms of it being kind of like a really great film. Some people are saying it's a masterpiece according to some of the anonymous sources that I like read online. But I think on top of that, like the plot line here is really interesting. You have 4 girls who are in different time periods, and they're experiencing like multiple plot lines intertwined inside of a German farm. And it's just one of those films where you're probably going to like follow 4 girls as they go through life in like this small like farm in Germany. And yeah, that's like the vibe I'm getting. I'm getting like very Ingmar Bergman vibes, and also just very Auteur vibes. Auteur. But yeah, I heard some good things about this movie from what I've been hearing, but I hope it's good. I hope it works out, and I'm putting it here because usually there's another like international film that just like completely breaks out, or it could just be like All We Imagine as Light, where that film was like unanimously critically acclaimed, but then, as the year went on by, it kind of just fell off a bit. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm putting my stocks on this too much, but I think Sound of Falling has a really good shot. So that's why I have it on my list. Bow bow. And then next up, I have Begonia by Yorgos Lanthimos. This is another Yorgos movie. It seems like he's making movies like every year, and I'm not tired of it. Like, he's always doing some like fuck crazy ass shit. But this time around, he's doing a remake of Save the Green Planet, a South Korean movie that I recently saw this year, just in preparation for this movie. And yes, Save the Green Planet is just, it's a fucking wild movie. But it deals with like a CEO who gets kidnapped by apparently aliens, and they're trying to like kill the CEO and also, you know, destroy the world. And I think Bugonia has a really good chance of, you know, breaking out because of its subject matter, mainly because of Luigi, I cook the pasta. Yeah, that situation. And I think in terms of that, you can, you know, also think about Emma Stone coming back for another Best Actress nomination, or also Jesse Plemons, who's also in this movie, who's playing the kidnapper or the kidnappee, if I remember correctly. But either way, don't bet or just don't doubt on Yorgos Lanthimos, because he's one of those like directors, like even though he has like two modes, he's gonna go super freaky with kinds of kindness, or he'll just go freaky and also very, not baity, but also very accessible with poor things. And I think Bugonia is gonna be like a blend of both. It's a different screenwriter. It's not Tony McNamara. It's not Philippou, who did his, you know, really strange and weird shit. This is another, I think, screenwriter who did, I think, The Bear, or some other, like, no, actually The Menu. That's what it was. It was The Menu. The guy did The Menu, the screenwriter. So yeah, you should definitely keep an eye out on that. And I think that's the reason why I have Bugonia here at number 5, unranked, because of, you know, Yorgos. Don't just, you know, you got to put it there. You got to put Yorgos in, you know, your list. You can't just like leave him out. Like that would be like stupid, man. But yeah, Bugonia. Now this next one, this one's pretty easy to kind of like pick because it was already like set in stone. By the time the first movie came out, I was just like, yeah, this is gonna get like a Best Picture nomination. And on top of that, the second one is definitely gonna do the same, man. And that's Wicked for Good. Like literally I have like no notes. It's getting its Best Picture nomination unless something bad happens where like the second half of the movie is just like a flop, like story-wise. But I don't see that because the first one was just such a sensation. It made nearly $1 billion. It had like the two actors getting like in for their respective nominations. Like it's gonna get in no matter what. And it's just literally like the second half of like the entire musical. So there's no third one. So it's already like set in stone. I don't have any notes. I don't have any negatives. If you're not predicting, you know, Wicked for Good, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Just like, that's one of those like movies you gotta like put there. Just leave it there and, you know, move on. But yeah, that's Wicked for Good. Now, this one is just, it's just hope, man. And I think the reason why is because I got so much like love and hate for people who just like didn't enjoy their last movie of this like director, because it was like inevitable, but it just didn't happen, and I was just like really sad about it. But to cut like to the chase, Luca Guadagnino has another movie coming out, and it's called After the Hunt, and it's about a college professor who gets accused of SA, and they're just going through some shit, and it has all your favorite actors in it, like Andrew Garfield and Ayo Edebiri, and you also have like Julia Roberts in it. So it's like a stacked cast, prestige director, a story that is very timely, even though it has been played over and over again, especially in comparison to Tar from a couple years ago. But listen, man, I'm a big Luca stan. I've defended the fuck out of his movies for the past couple of years. Defended the hell out of his movies, especially with awards prospects. I was like one of the bigger like yappers about, you know, Challengers and Queer last year, but those movies didn't pan out, unfortunately. I think it was probably because they were polar opposites in terms of genres and just stuff that we were trying to do in the movie. But I think After the Hunt, from what I've been hearing, screenplay wise, it's actually pretty, you know, stagey and very like Oscar baity. But I think Luca's gonna like kind of play with his, you know, sensibilities while also playing it for general audiences, you know, so people don't get pissed off about like the actual subject matter. But yeah, I think this film, I think it's going to be like a reckoning for people who snubbed, morbed, queer, and challengers. And when this movie just like bashes people in the fucking heads, I think After the Hunt is going to like do pretty well, especially the fall festival season, like TIFF, Venice. Ooh, it's going to be like fucking wild seeing those movies, or the movie at one of the festivals. I'm going to TIFF this year, hopefully. But yeah, like I can definitely see this getting that Best Picture nomination, especially since, you know, Queer and Challengers didn't pan out too well last year. But who knows? I'm just a guy. I'm just a yapper. I'm just a yapologist. But yeah, that's why I have After the Hunt here. Okay, so the next one I have is Deliver Me From Nowhere, which is directed by Scott Cooper, a director that I've seen some of his movies. I think he did Crazy Heart a long time ago. And I also really enjoyed Hostiles, which was pretty good. It was like a cool Western with Christian Bale. And Black Mass also as well was pretty good. But no, this new one is a music biopic about the boss, Bruce Springsteen, played by Jeremy Allen White. And basically Bruce Springsteen is at his house or at his hometown just recording one of his best records, Nebraska. And listen, last year with A Complete Unknown, a lot of people were kind of like, you know, dismissive about its Best Picture potential. People were just like, oh, it's just going to be like Timothée Chalamet, Best Actor, that's it. And maybe, you know, the sound prospects, but that's basically it. And it got nominated for Best Picture. This is Academy catnip. They like music biopics no matter what. Even they liked, you know, Bohemian Rhapsody, which was split, divisive. And just on top of that, it really depends on like the subject matter and the subject person you're, you know, portraying. And the boss is like one of the most Americana musicians probably in like ever. He is like very influential. Sorry, I just had a little aneurysm. He has a lot of influence, just to put it lightly. And also Jeremy Strong is in it, who is a Best Supporting Actor nominee last year for The Apprentice. You have Paul Walter Hauser, who has been in the bubble for a bit. You have Stephen Graham, who is potentially going to win an Emmy for Adolescence. Like, the stack is cast. This cast is stacked. Why, you know, not? This is another one where I'm just like, why not? Like, why not put it here? I understand that, you know, some music biopics don't work out. Some do, but I think this one is going to be positioned pretty well, especially since the Michael Jackson biopic is delayed and going to be split into 2 parts, which is fucking crazy, but yeah, we're here. So that's why I have Deliver Me From Nowhere on my list. And then next one, I have a movie that I don't actually know a lot about because one of my friends from Fantasy Film Ball put this under my radar just for a bit because of the director and the last thing they did. Now, the director, Bing Liu, he directed Minding the Gap from a couple years ago, which was one of my favorite documentaries of the last 10 years. And apparently he has a narrative film coming out this year about the Uyghur immigrants who are trying to move to New York City. And they are going through some, you know, tough times around that era. I think it's like probably modern day or maybe in the past, but I'm not completely sure. And the film is called Preparation for the Next Life. I'm keeping a lookout for it because Fred Hechinger is in the movie and he's having a good year. He was just in the Finn Wolfhard horror movie. He's been in the cusp for a little bit. He was also in Nickel Boys last year. And I don't know, like, this is like one of those like films that I have to kind of like put there because Bing Liu was nominated for Minding the Gap a couple years ago, and I think that lost to Free Solo, if I remember correctly. But yeah, like, I gotta like put it there. I think this is gonna be like the big swing pick that I have on my list because usually I don't try to like, you know, take everything into account right now because, you know, it's way too early in the season. But, you know, you look back at some of these like lists that you make or like these videos you make, and you're just like, oh wow, like I actually predicted that. But I think this is one of those movies that I had to like keep an eye out. Maybe it comes out next year or the year after that, but I think it's ready. But yeah, that's why I have Preparation for the Next Life on my list. And the next film that I'm going to be talking about is One Battle After Another, which is a new PTA movie. I think people are underestimating the film's potential as an awards contender, because I think the film, even though it's taking a literary book called Vineland, which is a Pynchon book, and usually PTA, his last Pynchon adaptation was Inherent Vice, which was very divisive. It was very like literal in terms of going page by page with the book, and it was like a stoner mystery. While Vineland does have kind of like the same, vibes as like the language and like the linguistics of Pynchon's world, I actually do think One Battle After Another has a better shot here as like the better adaptation from PTA, because quite frankly, I've been hearing that this film is very like crowd pleasing. It has a lot of action, a lot of pew pew, a lot of Leo DiCaprio just going around LA, just like running shit, meeting people, hanging out with Sean Penn and like Benicio del Toro and Regina Hall and Tiana Taylor and Alana Haim, and it's a big like cast. And I personally think that a lot of people are underestimating it because of its box office potential. It has, some chances of either being a success financially or like a big bomb, and I think that big, asterisk in terms of it having financial disappointment might kill the movie a bit, and that could lead into a Babylon situation where some people really like the movie so much that it's so good, but they don't nominate it for everything, and the movie just bombs financially. Or it could just go the other way around, where it becomes a success like Sinners, another Warner Brothers original movie that came out this year that did like big numbers. But I don't know why people are just like underestimating this movie. It has a really good shot of just like, staying there in the top 10. I don't think it's like a top 5 contender, but I would never, doubt PTA and his like potential of getting his movies in the Oscars. But yeah, that's the reason why I have One Battle After Another at my final, unranked 10 slot. And I will actually mention one movie just in a few seconds. So the next movie I have to like briefly mention is The Rivals of a Messiah King, which is directed by Andrew Patterson, who did The Vast of Night a couple years ago, a really small, low-budget film, which I wasn't a big fan of, but I really enjoyed like the kind of like lo-fi aesthetics of that movie. But apparently this movie premiered at South by Southwest with really great reviews. It is a Western, a mixture of crime, thriller, and also a musical in some aspects, which I've been hearing. But Matthew McConaughey is in the movie, and Kurt Russell is also in the movie. And there's a newcomer, Angelina Looking Glass, who steals half of the movie. Apparently, from what I've been reading and hearing, a lot of people are putting it on their list just because of the X factor of breaking out South by Southwest. And if you don't remember, Everything Everywhere All at Once broke out at South by Southwest and completely shattered everybody's expectations as far as Oscar prospects. And, I think this is the reason why I kind of have to like give another like curveball pick for just this movie, like in terms of awards contention. I do think it might be like the big swing movie of the year compared to, last year with Emilia Perez. And I think it's one of those movies that could, resonate with a lot of Oscar voters who are really looking for something original, and maybe just like me. But I gotta like put this movie, at number 11, just like on the lookout, just to, see if it potentially breaks out once the fall season happens, because right now it doesn't have a distributor. Apparently this is having like a bidding war, and the last price that it was like asking was pretty damn high. I don't remember the figure, but I think it's going to be coming back around during the fall festival season. I think it has a really good shot of, getting the TIFF slot. And if it does get the TIFF slot, it might actually win the audience award. So who knows? I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I think The Rivals of a Messiah King has a really good shot for Best Picture this year. So yeah, that's basically all my picks as of late. I might do Best Actor, Best Actress, potentially. Who knows? I don't know, but look out for some more reviews. I'll be reviewing some big movies, smaller movies, just stuff that piqued my interest. And yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. Peace out.